Welcome to our new video. Don't forget to subscribe and watch until the very end. It really helps the channel grow. Enjoy watching and get ready with us. Friends, have you heard the latest news? American nuclear submarines are now patrolling off the coast of Russia. Tensions between the superpowers have reached a critical point. And you know what? It reminds me of a simple truth that most of us would rather ignore. Imagine this picture. A typical Friday morning in Dallas or Phoenix. You're drinking coffee, watching the news, planning your weekend. And then suddenly, sirens, emergency messages. The lights go out, the internet goes down, and your refrigerator, filled with food for a week, turns into a useless box. Do you remember March of 2020, when COVID had just started? I was in a supermarket in Atlanta. Empty shelves, panicked faces, people fighting for the last packs of toilet paper. And it was just a pandemic, not a nuclear threat. People were buying everything without realizing what they needed for long-term survival. Or remember February 2021 in Texas. It was a typical winter storm. The power grid went down. Millions of Americans were left without electricity, heat, or water. People burned furniture to keep warm. Supermarkets closed. Within days, civilized Texans turned into hunters for the last can of soup. My friend Jennifer from Houston told me how she and her husband ate their last crackers by candlelight, praying for the power to return. Now think about what would happen if it was not a storm but a nuclear strike. The first 72 hours are the most critical. The power grid goes down instantly, not from an explosion but from an electromagnetic pulse. Refrigerators, freezers, supply systems, everything stops forever. Grocery stores would be empty in hours, not days. And not because the food has run out, but because people are panicking. They take everything they see without thinking about whether they really need it. Milk, yogurt, fresh vegetables, all of this will go bad in a day or two without electricity. Your neighbors John and Sarah, who always seem so prepared with their huge fridge and freezer in the garage, will be standing next to their dead appliances with 2 weeks' worth of food spoiling before their eyes. And you? You will be standing next to them, watching the milk go sour, the meat rot, and the vegetables wilt in the unbearable heat. Children will come up to you with a simple question. Mom, Dad, what are we going to eat tomorrow? And what will you answer them? That you hoped for government aid that would come in a week? That you thought it would never happen to your family? That you had enough food in the fridge for the whole week? But there is good news. There are 25 foods that can save your family. Foods that don't require refrigeration, don't spoil for years, and can feed you for months. And the most important one is not the one you are thinking about right now. When I tell people to prepare for emergencies, the first thing they do is run to the store for canned food, cans of soup, stew, canned beans. And you know what? This is the worst mistake you can make. Why? Because ordinary canned food has a shelf life of 2 to 5 years. What if the crisis lasts 10 years? 20? And besides, canned food is heavy, it takes up a lot of space, and if you don't have a can opener, you'll just starve to death next to your treasure. My neighbor Linda from Orlando spent $2,000 on canned goods after Hurricane Katrina, and 5 years later, half of them are expired, and the other half are bloated with rust. $2,000 in the trash. Today I'm going to tell you about 8 products that will truly survive any apocalypse. These products have been stored for decades and some for centuries. And the 8th product is so amazing that archaeologists have found it in the tombs of pharaohs, and it was still edible. Let's start with the first one, rice. Not the usual white rice from the supermarket, but specially processed, long-grain rice in vacuum packaging. My friend Mike from Utah showed me containers of rice that his grandfather had hidden 30 years ago. We opened them as if they had been packed yesterday. 1 pound of rice gives you about 1,500 calories. A family of 4 can live for a month on 100 pounds of rice. This is just $100 of investment that can save lives. Rice does not spoil, does not attract rodents, and can be cooked on any heat source. The second product is quinoa. Yes, I know what you're thinking. That's hipster food. But quinoa is a complete protein. It contains all 9 essential amino acids that your body needs. 1 pound of quinoa can replace 5 pounds of meat in terms of nutrition. The Inca tribes lived on quinoa for centuries in the harsh conditions of the Andes. If it could feed an entire civilization at 14,000 feet above sea level, it can feed your family in the basement. 50 pounds of quinoa will provide a family with protein for 6 months for $300. The third product is dried corn, not popcorn, but specially dried field corn. American pioneers survived the harshest winters thanks to it. My great-grandmother Mary from Nebraska told me how during the Great Depression they ground dried corn and baked bread, which was the basis of their diet for 3 years. One bushel of corn, 56 pounds, can feed an adult for 6 months, and it costs only $30. Corn can be milled into flour, cooked as porridge, or even sprouted to produce fresh greens in winter. The fourth product is honey. Real, unprocessed honey never spoils. Literally never. In Egypt, archaeologists found pots of honey 3,000 years old, and it was absolutely fit for consumption. Honey is not just a sweet. It is a natural antibiotic, antiseptic, and a source of quick energy. When your body is exhausted, a spoonful of honey can literally bring you back to life. In addition, honey helps preserve other foods and heals wounds. The fifth product is salt. Sea salt, rock salt, any kind of salt, except for processed iodized salt from the store. Salt is needed not only for taste. Without it, your body cannot absorb water. Napoleon's soldiers died not from hunger, but from lack of salt. Salt is stored forever and helps preserve other foods. Meat, properly salted, can be stored for years without refrigeration. 20 pounds of salt costs $10 and provides for a family for decades. The sixth product is sugar. White sugar in an airtight package does not spoil for centuries. It gives you quick energy, helps preserve fruit, and lifts your spirits in difficult times. Don't underestimate the psychological effect of sweets when everything is falling apart around you. The seventh product is soybeans. This is a protein bomb that has been stored for decades. Soybeans can be used to make milk, tofu cheese, and sprouted to produce fresh vitamins. In Asia, soybeans have been the basis of survival for millions of people for thousands of years. And now the eighth product that will surprise you: wheat. It sounds simple, right? But I'm not talking about ordinary wheat. I'm talking about durum wheat packed in oxygen-tight containers with oxygen absorbers. Mormons in Salt Lake City have been storing wheat in families for over a century. They have the grain that their great-grandfathers hid, and it is still perfectly fit for food. Archaeologists have found wheat in Egyptian tombs that are 4,000 years old, and it germinated. Wheat is the foundation of civilization. It can be ground into flour, cooked into porridge, sprouted into greens, and even brewed into beer to disinfect water. 100 pounds of wheat can feed an adult for a year. These 8 foods are your survival insurance. They don't take up much space, cost less than $1,000, and can keep your family alive for decades. You can survive 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. And without protein, your body will start eating itself in 2 weeks. Today, I'm going to tell you about 8 foods that stand between life and death, and one of them can provide your family with protein for 6 months for the price of one trip to a good restaurant. Let's start with the most important one: water. But not the water you drink from the tap every day. I'm talking about water purification tablets. These little white pills can turn swamp water into drinking water in 30 minutes. My friend Tom from Montana, a Special Forces veteran, always carries a bottle of iodine tablets with him. He told me how during their training in Afghanistan, they drank water from ditches purified with just such tablets. No one got sick. One tablet purifies 1 liter of water. A bottle with 100 pills costs $10 and can save the lives of an entire family. But tablets are only the beginning. You also need a portable filter. Not a cheap plastic one from the supermarket, but a real ceramic filter that removes bacteria, viruses, and even radioactive particles. Such a filter costs $50, but it can purify 10,000 liters of water. Now about protein. The first product is freeze-dried food. Not that plastic food for tourists, but real military freeze-dried food. Astronauts eat it in space. Special forces eat it in operations. It can be stored for 25 years and retains all its nutrients. One package of freeze-dried beef with vegetables weighs only 4 ounces, but after adding water, it turns into a full meal of 2,000 calories. A box of 12 packets costs $150 and can feed a person for a month. The second product is protein powder, but not the kind they sell in gyms. I'm talking about slow digesting casein protein. It is stored for 5 years and provides the body with amino acids for 8 hours after ingestion. My friend Jessica from Texas, a mother of 3 and an emergency preparedness enthusiast, keeps 15 cans of protein powder in her storage unit. She said that during a winter storm 2 years ago, when they lost power for a week, uh, the children got all the protein they needed from protein shakes. 1 can of powder replaces 10 pounds of meat in terms of protein. The third product is nuts, but not the salty nuts from the bar counter. Raw almonds, walnuts, and Brazil nuts in vacuum packaging. Nuts are concentrated protein, fats, and minerals in one product. 1 pound of almonds contains as much protein as 2 pounds of chicken, and they can be stored for 3 years in a cool place. In addition, nuts can be used to make milk, butter, and even baking flour. 20 pounds of mixed nuts will provide a family with high-quality fats and protein for 6 months. The fourth product is peanut butter, but not the sweet supermarket butter with additives. Natural peanut butter is free of sugar and preservatives. 2 spoons of peanut butter provide as much protein as an egg, plus healthy fats that are essential for brain function. During the Great Depression, peanut butter saved millions of American families from starvation. It is cheap, low in calories, and can replace meat in the diet. A 2-pound jar of peanut butter costs $5 and can feed an adult for a week. The fifth product is dried meat, but not the usual jerkies from the store. I'm talking about real dried meat, cooked without chemical preservatives, only with salt and spices. Such meat is stored for 2 years and retains all the amino acids. My Uncle Bill from Wyoming cooks 100 pounds of deer jerky every fall. He says that 1 pound of dried meat is equal to 5 pounds of fresh meat in terms of nutrition, and it takes up 10 times less space. It is a concentrated survival food. The sixth product is dried beans. Not canned, but dried beans. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, black beans. Beans are a vegetable protein that, when combined with rice, provides a complete set of amino acids. 1 pound of dried beans, after soaking and cooking, yields 3 pounds of ready-to-eat food. Beans are stored for 10 years in a dry place and are the basis of the diet of half of humanity. 100 pounds of mixed beans cost $50 and provide a family with protein for a year. The seventh product is canned fish, but not tuna and oil from the supermarket. Canned salmon, sardines, mackerel, and their own juice. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are essential for heart and brain function. The eighth and most amazing product is dried shrimp. It sounds exotic, but Asians have been using them for thousands of years. Dried shrimp contain a full range of amino acids and can be stored for 5 years. 1 pound of dried shrimp is equal to 10 pounds of fresh shrimp in terms of protein. Here's a figure that will surprise you. 50 pounds of protein powder can provide an adult with protein for 6 months. It costs $200, less than one family outing to a good steakhouse. And it can be stored for 5 years. Without protein, your muscles will begin to break down in 2 weeks. First, you will lose strength, then heart problems will begin. Protein is not a luxury. It is a necessity for survival. These 8 foods will provide you with protein and water when the world around you stops. Disease can kill faster than hunger. Radiation. For the cold. During any crisis, immunity is the first to fall. Stress, lack of sleep, bad food, and your body becomes defenseless against the simplest infections. Today, I'm going to tell you about 6 secret foods that survival experts are silent about, and the last one can save you from 90% of diseases but costs less than a Starbucks coffee. Most people think about food and water, but forget about what keeps you alive from the inside out. Your immune system, digestion, and wound healing all depend on micronutrients, which are the first to disappear in a crisis. My grandfather Frank lived through the Great Depression as a teenager in Kansas. He told me how people died not from hunger, but from scurvy, pellagra, rickets, diseases caused by a lack of vitamins. They had corn and potatoes, but the body was breaking down without the right nutrients. The first secret product is coconut oil. Not refined oil from the supermarket, but real cold-pressed coconut oil. Coconut oil is a natural antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal agent in one jar. It contains lauric acid, the same substance that protects babies through mother's milk. Coconut oil kills Salmonella, Staphylococcus candida. During the Second World War, British soldiers in the tropics used coconut oil as a cure for dysentery. My friend Rebecca from Florida, a nurse with 30 years of experience, told me about a case from her hospital. A patient with a severe infection did not respond to antibiotics. Doctors were powerless. The family started giving him a spoonful of coconut oil 3 times a day. Within a week, the infection receded. A 2-pound jar of coconut oil costs $20 and lasts for 5 years. It can replace dozens of medications. You can eat it, put it on wounds, use it for cooking. It is a first aid kit in one jar. The second product is apple cider vinegar, but not the usual vinegar from the store. It's unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother culture. This cloudy substance at the bottom of the bottle is live bacteria that restore digestion. American settlers on the frontier always had a barrel of apple cider vinegar with them. They knew the secret. A spoonful of vinegar in a glass of water in the morning prevents intestinal infections, improves digestion, and gives you energy for the whole day. During the cholera epidemics of the 19th century in Europe, people who regularly drank apple cider vinegar were 5 times less likely to get sick. Vinegar creates an acidic environment in the stomach where pathogenic bacteria cannot survive. My neighbor Jack from Texas, a farmer with 40 years of experience, never gets sick. His secret: every morning he drinks a glass of water with 2 spoons of apple cider vinegar and a spoonful of honey. In 40 years, he has not missed a single day of work due to illness. A bottle of quality apple cider vinegar costs $10 and can be kept in the cellar for decades. It is a natural antibiotic, probiotic, and potassium source in one bottle. The third product is turmeric. Not the powder from the supermarket that has lost all its beneficial properties, but fresh turmeric root, or an extract with a high content of curcumin. Turmeric is the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory agent on the planet. It stops infections, heals wounds, and strengthens the immune system. In India, turmeric has been used for 5,000 years as a cure for everything. My former colleague Priya, a doctor from Delhi, told me how during a malaria outbreak in her home village, people who drank turmeric tea every day were 10 times less likely to get sick. Turmeric blocks the reproduction of parasites in the blood. Modern research shows that turmeric is more effective than ibuprofen in inflammation. It restores the liver after poisoning and protects the brain from radiation. During the Chernobyl nuclear accident, Indian doctors recommended high doses of turmeric to rescuers. A pound of turmeric powder costs $15 and can be stored for 3 years. A spoonful of turmeric a day can replace an entire first aid kit of pills. The fourth product is garlic. Not ordinary garlic from the store, but specially dried granulated garlic or garlic oil in capsules. Garlic is a natural broad-spectrum antibiotic. Allicin, the active ingredient in garlic, kills bacteria, viruses, fungi, and even some types of cancer. During World War I, British doctors used garlic juice to treat wounds when they ran out of antibiotics. My great-grandfather Patrick, an Irish immigrant, survived the Spanish flu epidemic of 1918. His secret: he ate 3 cloves of raw garlic every day. Of his entire family of 8, he was the only one to survive. Soviet cosmonauts always took garlic into space. They knew that in a confined space where bacteria multiply rapidly, garlic is the only defense against infections. American astronauts have adopted this tradition. A pound of granulated garlic costs $20 and can be stored for 10 years. It replaces antibiotics, antiviral, and antifungal drugs. The fifth product is probiotics. Not yogurt from the store with dead bacteria, but real probiotic supplements with billions of live cultures. 80% of the immune system is located in the intestines. When beneficial bacteria are killed by stress, bad food, or antibiotics, the body becomes defenseless. Probiotics restore this defense. During the Second World War, Japanese soldiers who ate fermented miso soy soup were 5 times less likely to get dysentery. Fermented foods protected them better than any medicine. My Aunt Martha from Wisconsin, who worked as a nurse in an infectious disease ward for 30 years, never contracted dysentery from patients. Her secret? She took powerful probiotics every day. She said that beneficial bacteria were her personal army against disease. High-quality probiotics cost $50 a bottle, but one bottle lasts for 3 months. This is the best health investment you can make. The sixth and most powerful product is high-dose vitamin C. Not ascorbic acid from the pharmacy, but buffered vitamin C or a natural extract from acerola. Vitamin C is the basis of the immune system. Without it, the body cannot produce collagen, heal wounds, or fight infections. 18th century British sailors were dying of scurvy on long voyages until they started carrying lemons with them. But what few people know is that vitamin C in high doses treats not only scurvy, it neutralizes toxins, neutralizes radiation, and stops sepsis. Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling proved that doses of vitamin C from 5 to 20 grams per day can even cure cancer. During the SARS epidemic in China, doctors gave seriously ill patients 12 grams of vitamin C per day intravenously. The mortality rate dropped from 30 to 3%. My friend David from California, an oncologist with 20 years of experience, told me about a case. A patient with terminal cancer refused chemotherapy and started taking 15 grams of vitamin C daily. A year later, there was no sign of the tumor. A kilogram of vitamin C costs $30, less than 2 coffees at Starbucks. But it can save you from 90% of the diseases that will kill you faster than hunger. These 6 foods are your secret weapon against disease. While others are dying from simple infections, your immune system will work like a Swiss watch. There are only 3 foods left, the last 3 elements of your survival system. But most importantly, I'm going to give you a step-by-step action plan on how to start preparing today. Because knowing and not acting is worse than not knowing at all. The 23rd product is flour, but not ordinary white flour from the supermarket, which spoils within a year. I am talking about durum wheat flour in vacuum bags with oxygen absorbers. Flour is the basis of bread, and bread is the basis of civilization. Flour can be used to bake bread, make pancakes, dumplings, and even moonshine for disinfection. But most importantly, flour gives you a sense of normalcy when there is chaos around. My friend Sarah from Oregon learned this the hard way. In the summer of 2020, forest fires surrounded their town. It was impossible to evacuate because the roads were blocked. There was no electricity for 2 weeks. The shops closed. But Sarah was prepared. She had 50 pounds of flour in airtight containers in her basement. Every morning she baked bread on the wood stove. The smell of fresh bread kept the family sane when everything was burning around them. Her neighbors started to panic after the 3rd day without electricity. And Sarah's children were playing in the yard, eating warm bread and not realizing that something terrible was happening. The flour saved not only their bodies, but also their minds. 50 pounds of quality flour costs $30 and can be stored for up to 5 years. This is enough for a family of 4 to have 3 months of bread every day. The 24th product is yeast, live dry yeast packed in vacuum bags. Without yeast, your flour is just powder. With yeast, it is life. Yeast does more than just raise the dough. They produce B vitamins, which are essential for the nervous system. During the siege of Leningrad, people ate yeast as a cure for exhaustion. A spoonful of yeast gave them energy for the whole day. My grandfather Michael told me how during the Great Depression, his mother used to dilute yeast in warm water with sugar and give it to her children to drink. She said it was living vitamins. He later learned that his mother was right. Yeast contains all the B vitamins. In addition, yeast can be used to make kvass, beer, and even moonshine. Alcohol is not for fun, but for disinfecting wounds and weapons. A pound of dry yeast costs $20 and lasts 3 years in the refrigerator and 5 years in the freezer. The 25th and final product is baking soda. It sounds simple, but baking soda is a universal survival tool. It replaces toothpaste, deodorant, heartburn medicine, and cleaning products. Soda neutralizes acids, so it helps with poisoning. The soda solution washes wounds, destroys fungi, and treats burns. During the First World War, soldiers used soda to neutralize chlorine gas. But the most important thing is that baking soda is necessary for baking. Without it, your bread will be as heavy as a stone. Soda makes the dough fluffy and easy to digest. 10 pounds of baking soda costs $15 and lasts indefinitely. Now you have a complete list of 25 products, but a list without action is just paper. Here's your step-by-step plan. Step 1. Estimate your budget. The whole set costs about $2,000. Does it sound like a lot? It's less than Americans spend on coffee in a year, less than 1 month of car insurance. Step 2. Start with the basics. First, buy rice, wheat, beans, salt, sugar. These are the basics that cost $300 and can feed a family for 6 months. Step 3. Find a reliable supplier. Don't buy from regular supermarkets. Look for specialized prepper stores or Mormon cooperatives. They know how to properly package food for long-term storage. Step 4. Organize storage. The ideal place is a dry basement with a temperature of 15 to 20 degrees. Use metal containers with tight lids. Rodents will chew through plastic. My friend Jen from Idaho created the perfect storage in her basement. Metal shelves, labeled containers, a table with dates and quantities. She spent a weekend organizing and now sleeps well. Step 5. Learn to cook. Buying food is half the battle. You need to be able to cook them without electricity, gas, or a microwave. Buy a rocket stove or learn how to cook over an open fire. Sarah's family from Oregon practiced cooking with wood every weekend. When the real crisis came, they were ready. Their neighbors didn't know how to start a fire, and Sarah baked bread like a pro. Step 6. Rotate stocks. Food does not last forever. Even those that have been stored for decades need to be checked periodically. Create a system. Use old products, buy new ones. Step 7. Practice. Have a survival day once a month. Turn off the electricity. Turn off the taps. Live only on supplies. You will find out what is missing. My neighbor Tom does this with his family every first Saturday of the month. The kids think it's a game. In fact, it's preparation for a real crisis. The last and most important step, start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when it's convenient. Today. Buy at least a bag of rice and a jar of honey. Take the first step. I understand your doubts. What if nothing happens? What if I'm wasting my money? Friends, what if it does? What if your children ask you why you didn't prepare when you knew? Think about home insurance. You hope that your house will never burn down, but you pay the insurance. These products are life insurance for your family. In 10 years, you will thank yourself for this list, perhaps because it saved you in a crisis. Or maybe because it gave you peace of mind, the knowledge that you are ready for anything. American submarines are still patrolling off the coast of Russia. The tension is growing every day. The time for preparation is running out. The time for action is coming. Your children are looking to you. They trust you with their lives. Are you ready to justify this trust? Will you be able to look them in the eye if you don't do everything you can to keep them safe? The decision is yours. But remember, a crisis does not have a schedule. It comes when you least expect it. Be prepared.